How's it going, boys? Is working to build a community to allow for discussion. We're providing specifications you can relate to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. We're going to have a late night unboxing and then also kind of talking about a few different things as far as some of the SHOT Show information, as far as some of the knives that I may have thought to be interesting. Also, just to go over kind of an origin and then kind of where I plan to take the channel and how things might be going with that. So we'll see if anybody comes on to the live stream. These aren't really anything that's set up as far as a time frame for it. So it's kind of just a thing that when I have time to have a live stream, then I'll go and throw it on there. So that's some of the drop on this as far as that goes. So thank you for anybody that's looking and watching the video after the fact. I do have one person on. Woodland Tactical, awesome. I do see a PM2, yes. So I didn't have a PM2 before, so there's actually one that's on loan from Steve Milk. So I do appreciate that. Two people on, so we might have some people on this one. The last live stream that I did, I went through the whole 30 minutes and I talked to myself because there was actually nobody that came on. It seemed to be something wrong with the live stream. So that's an awesome thing. So thanks again for the thumbs up. 3 people on, awesome. So we're going to go through a few things. So the upcoming reviews that I'm going to be having for the channel are 2 from Steve Milk, 1 from Blade Center, which is going to be Tom. So this is going to be this one here. There's going to be the Buck Marksman. I think I talked about it on a previous live stream as well, but I just haven't gone around to the review of it yet, because I did want to carry it, did want to check it out. But if you have not experienced the Buck Marksman, check this one out as far as something that's useful for it. Hopefully I can see the live stream. If somebody wants to pop one up there, I just want to see if it's scrolling up on my screen properly, just to say hi or something. But I did see the other one about PM2 from Woodland Tactical, so it seems to be working out just fine. But we are going to be looking at this one for the Marksman. Check this one out also for SK Blade Works. So SK is a company that goes through Buck. So it's a production knife with production warranty, but they now are much more stringent about their QC. Their company is basically on the line for anything that goes wrong. So, I mean, you can pick up a 110, Buck 110 with some amazing stuff on it. Some bad stutter. Hopefully that's not me talking. Maybe that's a break in the stream. I could be stuttering as well. So let me know if that kind of fixes itself. I might shut it down and start back up as well. But hopefully the stream works well, because I am closest to the router. So I did find that to be an issue when I was in a different room. So I'm trying to be as close to the internet source as possible. So did the stutter get a little bit better? Maybe not. Let me know if it does or if it doesn't, and then I'll kind of continue with things. But that's going to be the one here. You can pick up really good ones, Buck 110. You can get some higher end steels than you would normally get elsewhere, and then also going to be going into the PM2. This used to be a little better. Well, very good. Thanks, Stephen. So now PM2. This is the first one that I've been able to actually do. That's too bad. It must be something going on with the audio for it. But so hopefully that corrects itself soon enough. But PM2 did not have one before. This is the first one I've actually been able to really handle. I've handled it in stores, but not really for a longer period of time, or not really anything that I carried with me. So this is actually one that I do appreciate, because it actually does flip very well as far as all the different methods. Left-handed, I really still don't know anybody left-handed as far as how to actually close this left-handed. One-handed, it just seems very unorthodox and not really the best thing for that, for this knife. Also, now first time also experienced something here. So there's the Chris Reeve, there's the small Sabenza. I did post on Instagram. Somebody at least let me know in the comments as far as things go. Oh, good. So very good. So it might be something with the stream still, but hopefully it's clearing up a little bit. But I did put a Sabenza SA instead of SE. So somebody did finally let me know that I spelled that wrong. But I did post this to Instagram. This one has the, I forgot the name of it. Is it? This one has the Wilson Combat. So there's a Wilson Combat scales on it. So this is kind of their special line. That was a collaboration. It made it a lot better. This one did have the carbon fiber scale on the outside of it, and then the lockup was like 100%. And then so once putting the actual scale that came with it, it dropped it down to about 55. So that's the thing about aftermarket parts and scales and everything else. You're gonna possibly get something that's kind of changed out. You can close your left-handed, but how? So I see it opening. Maybe I can pinch it this way and close it, but it doesn't feel very secure. Oh, that way. So I guess, I mean, you can close it this way, but I don't know. It just seems a lot more secure in this hand because I've got my thumb and my fingers on it, and I'm just using this finger to drop it down than left-handed, where I'm just kind of floating it. So, I mean, if you know a different way to do that, let me know also in the comment, Woodland, but it just seems very unstable where you possibly drop the knife. But it would be done, but just, I don't know, for ambidextrous as far as other locks, back locks, strap locks, and this type of lock, I mean, that's fully ambidextrous where it's the same experience either side. Same with axis locks, all the other iterations of axis locks that are coming out, they just seem really much more ambidextrous. But this one's going to be the one for the Sebenza. It's just really, I think the biggest selling point. So if their warranty process was horrible, if they had the same warranty as most folks, I don't know if they would be as popular as they are. They are very good, but and it is smooth, but it's not something that is just like where I pick it up and go like, this is the most amazing, highly engineered knife that I've ever experienced, and you must buy this because it's a Chris Reeve knife. And that might be coming off poorly, but it does have a good level of machining and everything else, tolerance level. But if this came out and it said that you bought it for the price that $400+ and then they had a warranty that was not the best, where you couldn't just send it back to them and get it fixed, then I think that the Chris Reeve sale would be a little bit harder in some sense, because well, you just would, I mean, if you had to send it back and spend like $50 to have it serviced, it would probably reduce some of that cost. So some of the things that you're buying, at least with I think, so correct me if I'm wrong on it, but that's where I think you're buying into the warranty process, some of the service process for Chris Reeve. So that's one thing that it still exists, so it's still a very good knife. And I still want to have one at one point, but I just don't know if the small or large. I think the Nkosi blade is probably the choice that I'll go with, but that's something that's going to be neither here nor there on some of that. Unboxing, so these are the ones that came in. One of them is the box that came back. So hopefully you guys were able to watch the blind reviews. We do have number 2 coming out. So we actually are having that set up for the group. So we do have that started. It is something that's going on at the moment. So we have that going, and then we're going to be putting that out. We do have 2 knives going out for this one, so it makes it a little bit better for that. Oh, yeah, so, yeah, JT, yeah, I think you're talking about that a little bit, but I think the large is going to be a nice one, and then Nkosi blade. It's really hard with, if anybody does the review side of things, it does become difficult with some of the process. So JT, thanks for sending this back. So it does become a little bit difficult because sometimes you're buying, at least for me, sometimes I buy for content. So good. Thank you, Woodland. So I'm glad you liked it. We're going to be having round 2 go out as well. But sometimes you buy for content, and sometimes like a normal consumer, you could go and say, well, I just won't buy anything for the next 6 months, and then I'll buy this one knife. How's it going, EDC Gear? So let me know as far as comments, anything, questions you have, anything else. But sometimes you buy for content, so you might not necessarily like the knife per se, but you're going to like the mechanism, you're going to like something about it, you think people are going to like it, and then so you can't just go, okay, well, I'm not going to buy anything for 6 months, and then that's going to be the thing that you're going to buy. You're going to buy that Chris Reeve knife or whatever else. Something else in the box. What's else in the box? Artisan polishing cloth. Is it the cloth? Immortal. Did you forget to put that back in the box? I was referring to JT on that one. Anything else in the box? No? What about it? So I think that was the little polishing cloth that he said that was also in the box that I would not have looked for. I probably would have thrown that away. So thank you for letting that know. So Artisan Cutlery is one of the companies that are now doing some of the pass rounds. So we do have quite a few new brands that are now part of that group. So it is very beneficial. Going on to that same topic as far as like picking up for content, some of those knives that we get, there's something else in the box. Uh-oh. You said there's something else in the box. What else is in the box? If I didn't miss it. Read a note so we're not on screen here, but some polish cloth. Round 2. Okay, just the cloth. Okay, I was looking for something else. I'm like ruffling through the bags and everything. I was like, no, I don't feel anything else in there. So that's pretty cool. So now so that's the artisan cloth. So now some of the things that we have now. Some of the knives that we're able to win from that. So I did actually win an Immortal from Artisan, which is awesome. It's S35 VN blade for that one. But this is the knife that I got back from the blind pass round. So if you haven't seen the blind pass round, as some folks have said, it's hilarious. It was fun. Even with JT's side, he was on board, but very much cautious. Because as most of us, we probably didn't want to say things really silly. We didn't want to come off as a total person that didn't know what they're talking about. But it is something that was the brainchild back to seeing the Barney lunchbox and then kind of going from there as far as how to communicate that, how to have something that's pretty cool for everybody to actually watch. And I think it's gone to a point that it worked well for that. And then the hold up to round 2 for me, because I got one of the other knives, so we do have 2 knives going on for the pass round, is my board looks horrible. So looking at some of the other boards as far as the graphics they put on it and everything else, I was just like, I got to go do something else for my board. Oh, wrong way. So still a very nice knife for this one. And it was really funny that, I mean, some of the comments and everything else, I mean, from the knife beater, as far as I think he said he spent like 15-20 minutes to try and open the blade, and then he was trying to, like, it's just actually a piece of wood with a pocket clip on it. And then I've never come across a review where you try to smell for steel, but I guess you work with the senses that you have. And I almost got myself there too, so might happen at some point. So didn't cut myself on the blind review, but I almost cut myself now. So that falls very well for this knife. And then we're going to have this one here. This is actually one of the pass round knives. For this one here, 9 people on. So awesome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the late night unboxing. I do the other one as far as the stop motion. Some of the information on that, I don't know how to show some of the knives as far as it goes. Initially when I started it, I was trying to make it pretty close to something dealing with the knife. Or I asked my kids or somebody was like, what do you want to see? And then like one of them was like, make it explode. I was like, all right, I'll try to figure out how to make it explode through stop motion. So if you go back on some of the old videos, you'll see some of the stop motion videos on it. And then that's kind of how it goes. So Artisan, this is how they pack some of their knives with this tin. And then you have the box on the inside of it. And then you open it up. And this one should be the Falcon, I think. Yes. Yeah, I think that's the Falcon. Let's see. Doesn't actually say on the blade, but I'm pretty sure that's the Falcon. So this is one of the ones in the past round, and this is actually a lot bigger than I kind of thought it would be. So I think this one would be a little bit better, probably maybe 2/3 the size of this. But if you like large knives and everything else, it is a pretty interesting blade shape for it. Yeah, it is pretty nice packaging for it. Really, it ships well probably like that. But I mean, for the actual, I mean, they could probably just send it this way, but probably to make sure everything stays intact, everything is in good shape, they send it this way. So the polishing cloth has a little card with it. So it tells you a little about the knife itself. So Artisan is really one of the brands where they are trying to up their game quite a bit to actually compete and actually be along the lines of We, and then also some of the other brands that are out there, because the OEM market is a good place to be for it now. So We is kind of taken over as far as that market goes. So competition is always good. What's up, Big Red? Competition is always good. That's something to actually figure out. That's your baby. I don't know what that's referring to. This knife? I forgot. Is this the one that you won? I have to go back on that. I guess I know JT won a knife as well. That's where now we'll have to check that out. Yeah, it's about a 300. So I think it was somebody else Google search it, but I think it was about that price for about 250 ish for the knife. So this is the M390, I believe. This one. Yeah, this is the M390. So the highest end steel that you're going to get out of it, titanium handles. It has this carbon fiber inlay that's actually texturized, which is kind of cool as far as that goes. Yep, so JT is the one that won this one. And I think you're still sticking to as far as doing this as a giveaway as well, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully, I mean, if that's the case, then wonderful to people that are getting kind of that inside scoop on that. But this one might be a knife that you might be able to win as far as this M390 blade for that. So that's going to be some of those. Some of the ones for the SHOT Show. Actually, let's leave that out so you guys can just look at it. If you have any questions, let me know if you have any things on that. But the SHOT Show knives that seemed interesting. One that's kind of funny for JT. So for the Gerber Fastball, it's like $100 knife. Gerber's like the one brand that he said he would set it on fire if I sent to him. So that might actually be a funny unboxing. Jack Farnboy already set a knife on fire. It actually smelled like gasoline afterwards when he actually threw it into the puddle. But that's some of the things that are there. So Gerber seems to be coming out with a very interesting lineup of their knives. And sorry, I don't have any here. I don't have any pictures to flash up or anything like that because it's a live stream. But their knives seem to be pretty interesting. Some of the issues I have with some of the brands like that, they don't seem to be open very much to reviewers to check them out. I mean, they'll sell a whole bunch of knives, but as far as the enthusiast market, people that want to look at them and actually do a review on it, it seems like they're a little bit more reserved on being able to do that than some of these other manufacturers, which is kind of a bad thing for it. I'm in Oregon, so Gerber's has their place in Oregon, so I would think that they would be kind of open to some type of collaboration, some type of partnership to be able to do that. He can be, yes, can be very brutal to his blades and things, but it does make it work. I mean, like if it can survive some of those things, then that's a great thing. But he did also join Pass Round, so hopefully, well, he cannot be that brutal on any of the gear. Otherwise, he'll be out of the Pass Round group. But that's going to be some of the things that happen with it. But Gerber, like, I have the Gerber 39 series, which is one of my favorite lockbacks. It's a drop shut action. I don't know what was done to it or how I got that one, but it's a lockback with a drop shut. Like I can actually clip the lock back and then like the blade just falls down. And then I bought a nickel plated one because like that's going to be my safe queen. I'm going to love that knife. It's going to be one that I'll just pick up, keep in the safe, bring it out, look at it, wipe all the fingerprints off of it because it would like get a whole bunch of fingerprints on it. But then I got it, and then like there was a bubble in the nickel plating. I opened it up, and then there was like super stiff action. I had another viewer state that they picked up one from my previous review, and then they didn't like it either. So I mean, that's one thing that kind of stinks about it, because you're doing a review or an overview on one of the knives, and then you can't really do much else about it. Yeah, interesting to see some of their stuff as far as Gerber, Big Red. So that's one of the things that it's like. I just like some of their stuff. I mean, check out some of the YouTube channels or the sites for that. I think that was a Blight HQ one that showed a lot of the information for it. For Gerber, the Buck has a Sprint. That seems like a pretty interesting one. It's like $50 for that knife. Hopefully, it's a proper flipper, because the other one, as far as the other Buck, which they're not very good flippers. I mean, this one's awesome if you haven't gotten that one as far as the Marksman, but the other one that they have, which escapes me now, but that one's fairly horrible. I mean, I've experienced and tried the small one and the large one, and it's no good. I mean, if you love that knife, I'm sorry, but I don't like that knife as far as the other Buck flipper. So that's some of the ones that are coming out. Camillus has a folding hunting knife. So that one's actually looks interesting. But same thing with Camillus, which is under Acme United or Acme something brand. They're not very open to also reviewers. But especially if you're trying to make a comeback, trying to bring into the market, some of the exposure is good. I mean, unless your knives are horrible, it seems like some of that exposure is good to be able to actually get it out there and actually have people see. Because some of their designs are pretty decent. Some of the knives have decent action for it. I've been bringing back some of the Mini Cuda. Actually, I mean, I think that's one of, was it a Blue Collar Survival? He went and picked one up from Walmart, and then it's actually it is a pretty fidget friendly knife. So check that out as far as those go. I do have a higher end version. Yeah, micarta. They said it wasn't very good micarta when somebody was looking at it on one of the channels, but it does seem like a pretty interesting knife. So $50 to $150 for the higher end knives. So for that Buck Sprint, and also I do like that they went back to actual wood instead of the synthetic type of wood for the 110. So that would be nice to actually be able to lay out like a whole bunch of them and actually hand pick one of them. That would be an ideal situation that I'm probably not going to be able to experience. But the Buck 110 is going back to standard wood that is actually, I guess, harvested in a eco-friendly, non like kill everybody type of manner. It's a better way to do that. So they teamed up with a guitar making company to actually now make sure that the wood is obtained in a proper and eco-friendly and everything else way. So that's going to be something that they're trying to stay away from anything that's like really horrible. So it's like, even if you had a wood knife or wood insert, and then like you find that it was cut down from a 300-year-old trees that were part of some type of reserve, it probably wouldn't go over well as far as a PR move for that. So that's something to really think about for getting new blades or new materials. So as far as some of the origin stuff, so if anybody's interested in it, please let me know. Or if you're like, I don't care where you came from or what's going on, then chime in on the comments. I'll see it scroll up over here on my screen here. But some of the things that came about, so as far as why I started in the first place was really conversation-wise. I didn't have it, nobody to talk about on blades, so I was commenting on different things for trees were grown. Yeah, true. I mean, so some people might think that as far as trees born and grown just for those things, but or was that actually what it came about? I can't see that being the case. That seems like a long time. I mean, for a tree to grow, it's like, I mean, that's like, what, 50 years, unless they're planning on that long. But that might be as far as, at least they're able to track it back, as far as like the trees were born and grown and harvested for that specific reason instead of cutting down natural ones. So I don't know if that's the case for that comment that came up, but so a lot of those came out for Jack. I mean, it wasn't Jack. It was the Knife Beater channel. So some of the knives that came out for that one, I had a grip lock, and then the Caligo, I think. And so I was making comments on his channel and kind of going over some information. I had a pretty extensive, I think, comment. I think it was like probably like that long or so, when I was just talking through like what I thought about the knife as far as different things for it, different hotspots and everything else. And then he kind of let me know. I mean, we kind of went back and forth a little bit and kind of said, well, why don't you think about just having your own channel or like being a guest person on my channel as far as Jay from the Knife Beater. So I was like, I guess I would give it a try. So I don't have a lot of high-end things. I'm not shooting off an SLR camera. I don't have a cool little lighting booth. Eventually I have to probably get something that's actually a regular setup table. But that's where I think, well, I started with a tripod, and then I got a wood clamp, and then I like wood clamped my phone to the tripod, and then that was kind of where I started with the videos. The video's still up if anybody wants to go back to the first one, kind of watch that origin type of thing. That's what came about. So yeah, I mean, if that's how Buck did it, then fantastic. Because I would rather have regular wood or standard wood for the handles. Because I currently don't have a Buck 110, but I did see a side holster sheath on Etsy, which was on Budget Bug Out, I think. It was somewhere on one of those, but he showed it. It's on Etsy, so you can actually sheath it sidewards, and then it's a deployment. So when you pull the 110 out, somehow it catches it, and then it deploys a knife. Pardon me. So this coffee, but so that's one thing that I was almost going to buy that sheath through Etsy just to get a 110. So it's kind of like an opposite thing. Like I don't have a 110, I'm going to get the sheath for my 110. I was going to buy the sheath and then get the knife to put in the sheath. So that was going to be that idea for it. Still haven't done it, but it's like $30 for the sheath itself. But it just seemed kind of an interesting way to house it. And then really, some of the 110s I've handled it, but I think the Nemesis that I had up on the last live stream, I think that should have been the progression for it, because as far as the backlock goes, the backlock for the 110, I mean, it's probably for strength reasons for the bar, but for it back here, it's very hard, at least for me, to do it one-handed as far as deployment with it up near the top, where you can actually hold it and drop it onto your finger and then close it the rest of the way one-handed. Works out better for me and what I think about the knife, but that's just a thought. Oop, just dropped his knife. Wasn't very far, it was very short, but that's that one there. But that's kind of the origin of things as far as where it started, and kind of just like was working with things, talking with their channels. It is a community for the review side of things, or knives in general. I mean, that's one thing that when you see these people that are like at the top of their game within the knife market, the designers and everything else, I mean, they're pretty open. I mean, Elijah's just walking around at different shows, and you have the actual folks that have been in the market. Liang Ma was one that kind of stuck with me as far as when I interviewed him at Blade Show West. So one of the things that he talked to me about after the review or the interview was he was just kind of asking me as far as about the channel, and then kind of what makes you different? I mean, what makes you, like, there's so many different channels, so many different reviewers. What makes you different than anybody else? I mean, that's where it's kind of like you kind of think about that. It's like, well, I look at knives and then I tell people what I think about it. So what makes you different? What makes you something that people are going to want to watch and everything else? So that's kind of something that actually kind of stuck with me on it. And then he said to check in with him. I send him a message every now and then. I don't really have a conversation going with him, but we'll see how that goes. But that's something that I think is going to be some of my driving points for what I'm trying to offer to the community, because it is a community, and it's something that like right now I think I'm at about 1,100 subscribers. So now that's something that is something that's really like you don't really think about that. You don't really think that you're going to get there. You always have hopes of where you're going to go, and then still now I'm still trying to improve and talk to folks and see if it's going to be something that's important for it. Yeah, no need for high-end stuff. I mean, Galaxy S9 is going to be a good one. Some of the iPhones have really good video. I think even Slicey Dicey uses iPhone 6 Plus or something. So it's even the older models that have really good video for it. And he's at like 5,600 subscribers. So a lot of it's content. So I mean, you could probably just have just a basic setup, a basic conversation, and then see where it is. Love how the lightweight is. 110. Cool. 6 air bush. So you have a 110. Very like the old finger groove 112. I'd have to see what that looks like. So for some of those, they're really iconic knife for buck. It's probably their bread and butter type of knife. Just kind of how like Ontario has their rat 2s and their rat 1s are kind of those bread and butter type of knives. So those are the type of things that are just the knives that are really iconic, and then for them to have their forever warranties, which is a good thing, but also a bad thing is that they take forever. I mean, at least from my last experience, with sending a buck knife in, I think it was gone for like a few months, and where it's just like you kind of like send it and forget about it, and then you get it in the mail. It's like, oh, I got a new knife in the mail. So that was kind of an interesting situation for that. Others probably had different situation, different experience with that whole thing, but that's kind of been a lot of the feedback and some of the issues. I mean, even with like Kershaw, for how long their service takes for it. EDC Gear Review, we just talked about his. It took him like I think 4 months to get back, and that was a ZT. So I mean, ZT, they kind of like up you up the scale as far as like you have like the service time for ZT is up here, and then the service time for Kershaw is down here because the ZT is more expensive and it has a higher end customer base, and they treat you a little bit better as far as ZT versus Kershaw. But that's something that yeah, it took a while for even that to come back, and then some of the things that when I had the Kershaw sent in, some things I didn't like about it is because the Kershaw, like it was a brand new sharpened blade, like manufactured fine, and then like some of their things that they do, like it seems like no matter what knife comes in, like they sharpen it. So it's just like nothing was wrong with the original sharpening. I liked how it was better than when I got it back, because when I got it back, it had like a recurve at the tip where they just sharpen it funny. So it's like the factory one was better, and the secondary one, when it came back to me, was not. So yeah, Liang Ma, going back to that comment, so I don't know how long that was up there for, but I'm trying to scroll down. But yeah, Liang Ma is really a very down-to-earth guy, very much somebody, even for him, he said like that it's very humbling for him to come up to people or have people come up to him and like shake his hand and just say like, I got one of your knives, I love it, this is it's one of my favorites. So just to be somebody that is known or like knows of him and actually interacts with him in that fashion is very humbling to him. And so for him to be kind of the iconic character or iconic designer within the world is it's really interesting that he still has that humble nature as far as being approachable and then kind of really having those type of conversations. So it was a very interesting thing with that. But that's kind of the rundown of things for unboxings and all. A lot of things that are happening with the channel. It's just I'm trying to figure out. I still want to do the sharpness testing for the rope cut test. I'm just trying to work out how to do that, because I'm not going to do like 600 cuts and everything else. So that's something that I'm trying to figure out with that. But if anybody has any comments or anything, any questions or anything for me, seems like there's 8 of you on. A bigger ADC, yeah, S7 will work out just fine for a camera. The reason why I like the one I'm using right now is it is a LG V20. So it was, I think, the flagship of like 2017 or something. It has a removable battery, so I can take that out. So it's what I used for the show. So when I was actually interviewing people and everything else, if my battery run down, I would take it out, put a new battery in. It's like one of the last phones that you could actually change a battery on. So EGC gear and pocket knife. Now you have iPhone X. Well, yeah, I mean that's the newest one there. iMovie. I tried iMovie before. I don't really like iMovie very much. The one I use is Filmora as far as the video editing software. So it seems very good as far as what you can put into it. It has nice overlays. It has a good setup as far as what type of things you can do with it. So a lot of folks, when they're getting into things, like getting those baseline things, like you don't need to have these high-end things and high-end computers, like the best cell phones or best SLR cameras. Even as you see in these comments, I mean, the folks that are posting on there, other than that, maybe the iPhone X, I mean, that's probably the most expensive one or the newest one that's out there. But those type of things, you don't really need to have a lot of that stuff. It's just like if you have something that is good and you want to actually talk about it, the biggest step is to put it out there as far as the information goes, and then to continue to grow and learn, because that's where I've come a long way from where I started from to where I am now. And like I don't feel that I'm to a point where it's going to be really fantastic or anything, but I feel that I've improved. So that's something that I try to work on, and then some of that's with the community as far as a discussion and be able to talk to other channels as far as figuring out, okay, well, what are you using? How did you do that? What do you do for this process? And then having that community aspect. So that's one thing that's great about, at least on the reviewer side, as far as people are pretty open about it. They're not like, well, that's proprietary and I'm not going to show you how I did that. It's just like, no, this is what I use. This is the software I'm using right now. This is what I found worked well. And then you kind of like, okay, cool. And then you try it or you don't try it. But that's some things that is kind of interesting with the community for that goes. And then, but some of the things is probably also kind of boring for folks. So if you're not actually doing the review side, then you're like, well, just show me the knives. I mean, like I lost like 4 people. You just say bye or something. But anyway, no, for all the things that happen, those are the things that happen, and you learn as you go. So I mean, the laptop that I'm using is like a old Sony Vaio laptop. It's not the best thing for it, but it gets me by. But that's the things that I try and work on. I try and utilize what I have to be able to figure that out. So it's fun. I mean, it's fun and it's a lot of work. So if anybody wants to get into reviews, you might have the most fun on it, and you might have a totally different experience with it. But it's fun, but it's work. So that's where you got to kind of gauge whether you want to actually continue with it, if you want to actually put in that effort to know, to like work with folks to be able to make those connections, and also just put out content, because a lot of the things that they're out there, like it seems like it's very simple, and it's like, well, all you're doing is looking at a knife and you're telling us what do you think about it. Well, yeah, but we're trying to figure out, okay, what do we like about it? What do we don't like about it? Is there something that actually is a manufacturing defect with it? Is there anything that is different that should be done with it? So there's a lot of different factors going in, and like, I guess with anything, a voice is good, but if you're gonna be out there and you're gonna be saying things that are just totally off the wall wrong, then and especially if you have some buy-in from folks, so people hopefully get to the point where they trust you a little bit more, and then they actually are able to kind of rely on what you like. So you might get into that point where you're going to have a community side of things where you actually have people that might buy a knife because you said you like it, because, well, another knife that you said you liked met up with that same thing, so they picked it up, they liked it for that. So that's something that's kind of interesting with this whole thing. A lot of different manufacturers out there. Does anybody have any, I guess, favorites that they would like to see on the channel, or in general, I guess, what's your favorite knives that you have? Because that's something to kind of figure out for myself as far as my own collection. I'm going to have to go and whittle down as well, because I just have knives sitting in the knife rolls. I think I have like 3 from Blade HQ for the knife roll, and I just like some of them I want to keep around because it's like, well, I'll never get that knife again, or I won't see it for a long time, and then that's some of the things that come up with that. But that's some of the thoughts. Yeah, Filmora. I mean, that's I think I use it, and I think I just had Grateful Panic. I showed him about it, and he said he likes it as far as the Filmora. And then they have Filmora Go and a Filmora for your computer. So if you are solely on your camera, then you can use the application, do your editing, everything else from your camera, which is basically a handheld computer, and then kind of use that as you go. But that's what I use for my video editing. And then I also did need to upgrade my internet service at one point, because there was a point where, like, when I would upload a video, like, I would finish it and then I would say upload, and then I would like, it would run, and then like I would wake up in the morning and then it might be done. And so it was very, very difficult with internet. If you don't have very fast internet, then you might not want to get into reviewing stuff. Or if you do, just remember that like your internet's slower than a snail, and like it won't work very well. And you got to kind of plan for that, I guess. So as long as you know that and getting off right off the bat, then you might be all right with it. But that's something that's kind of interesting. So anybody that's new coming on, let me know if there's any comments or any questions on any of these knives here, but kind of going over some of the things that are happening with the channel. First thing, I mean, I had the highest views for the CRKT video. So the Provoke, which I actually have with me. So the Provoke knife, the Provoke, and then the large Pilar. Oh, actually this one here. So that one had, at least for me, my channel, it has the most views like ever. I mean, I think I'm like 7,000 something views or 8,000 views for that thing. So it's really quite impressive for that, to actually get that many. And then I guess out of that, I got over 100 likes on it, which is good. I mean, that was like another first type of thing to be able to figure that out. Valtech and Bastion. Yeah, Valtech seems really good. So they actually seem like a pretty up-and-coming company. They really want to be a part of the community. Bastion, so yeah, I saw your video as well for the Bastion Bastion Mini Braza Bro knife. So it's a really fun knife. I mean, I have one of those. I bought one with a discount code before. It's a really fun little flipper. I could use it as a primary on most times. And then for the pocket clip, a lot of people are saying that pocket clip is really tight, which it is, but I just bent it up a little bit, and then I'm able to use it as a normal pocket knife. It's good. I mean, if anybody has not experienced that Braza Mini Bro, Braza Mini Bro, yeah. So it's a little bit of a tongue twister name, but 20% off if you do, what was it, Bastion Blades. And so that's the one that was provided for the Patreon group for Bastion Blades. You get 20% off. That's on sale items too. So if you wanted to check that out, that's a way to go. Because then that's on sale items too. So a lot of times they'll run a sale like every month. So if you just keep on track on it, then you'll be able to pick it up pretty well. I'm gonna drink some coffee. Excuse me. Those get a little scratchy. But some of the modifications I had, pardon, I hope I didn't break anybody's ears. Oh man, pardon me. Steel War Piercer. Yeah, I mean, I do want to check that out for the Piercer. That one seems to be getting a lot of reviews and a lot of good things for it. The Intrigue I wasn't too impressed with. I was able to handle that. And then it was nice, but it wasn't very impressive for that one. But I do want to try out the Antlock when it comes about. And then, so that's going to be a pretty cool one. But for this knife, I did have to do some modifications to it, which of course ruins my warranty process and everything for it as well. But underneath the spring, if you take these 3 screws out, underneath the pocket clip, sorry, there's a spring in there, so it's kind of a little, almost like a long shaped screw. Spring, and you take that out, and then I just stretched it out a little bit or bent it out, and I put it back. So it took me about 2 to 3 times to actually get the tension right on it. As this one had about a 2-pound pull, so now when actually doing it, I was actually not using the pull gauge. So I put it on the back of here, and I pulled it down. It was a 2-pound pull. So this one I got it up to 4.5 pounds. So it gains so much more confidence in pocket. I don't know if anybody's ever going to cut themselves other than possibly me, but I haven't seen or searched for any posts as far as anybody cutting themselves. But I intentionally tried to wave it, so I pulled it back on the pocket, and then I wasn't pulling it very fast, so it deployed, and then it got caught in my pocket. So like the fabric in my pocket got caught in here, so I basically had the blade deployed in my pocket. So it was kind of treacherous to try and get that out of my pocket. So I did put a hole in the pocket itself, and just wasn't too fun. I did that twice. But that wasn't a very good thing. But that's one thing I did improve, at least for mine, because I've been talking with Joe Caswell. He messaged me on Instagram, let me know how to do that as far as the screw goes, and then and actually figure out how to do that, and then the adjustments for it. So I've been carrying this one today to see if this is actually EDC-able for it. So we can get different opinions before buying one. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. You got to check out different reviewers, different samples, because we all have different samples for the most part, to see what it is. Yeah, of course, don't trust one reviewer. If you're going to watch things, you're going to check that out. That's where, even when I got my first Kershaw Skyline, I reviewed the heck out of that thing. I was reading trends and posts and everything else. And then I watched a whole bunch of videos, and I was like, okay, I'll buy a Skyline. So that was some of the thing there. I don't think I review things or research things that much currently. But that's something that is something interesting for that. But definitely for EDC gear and pocket knife, you gotta look at other channels. Other people are gonna have different things to talk about. 112 Slim Ranger video got crazy views. Yeah, 110 Slim. I just think that they should have moved the backlock on it. So if they went through the whole thing about changing, I guess maybe it doesn't make it a 110 or 112 anymore. But I just still think they should have made the backlock higher. So up top. Oh man, let me move this mic so I don't break people's ears. Man. Anybody else that had a cold recently? Oh, went through my whole family. I think it's still sticking around a little bit. But for the Nemesis knife that I picked up, it actually was sent in from Nemesis, but it's the Almar designs, and then the one that was sent in has the lock up here, and it's just so much more enjoyable for it. And I think that knife if I had any say which mattered at all for that type of thing, they should make an upgrade. Do a back lock that's higher up on the knife, and that knife should be the 110 upgrade or some type of iteration on it. I know it's popular. I know a lot of people are buying it, but I just think that there should be some other change, some other thing to happen with it, and then I don't know. But people love it. So 110, 112 for that Ranger gets a lot of views for that, but I just don't like it, especially that pocket clip. Uh, awesome, thank you, Nathaniel. So very good, but that pocket clip is horrible. I mean that thing is. I heard it's good, like it works, but that is ugly. I mean, like it's even hard to see the anvil as far as like it actually being an anvil. Like it's hard to tell, like right off the bat if you like looked at it. It's kind of like the ink blot type of test where it's like, what is this? It's like, I don't know. Well, it's an anvil. It's like, oh, okay. But that's some of the things that are kind of interesting and different about the whole thing. As far as the 110 with the pocket knife, I mean pocket clip. Pocket clips are good. I like pocket clips. But uh, what else do we have going on? That's going to be about it. I mean, does anybody else have anything else? Because it's really based off of kind of what you guys have going on as well. For all the different shows coming up, there'll be some people going to Blade Show in Atlanta. I won't be one of them because it's expensive and I don't know anybody in Atlanta, so I'm not going to be doing that. But Blade Show West, hopefully I'll be doing that again. Hopefully be able to get the media status again for that because the interviews hopefully were good. So I got a lot of good feedback from that. And then it's kind of really good ways to get to know manufacturers and brands and making those connections. So that's something that's really nice about going to those shows for those. But yeah, that's going to be about it. So I guess what do you guys think would be the best way to sell the knives that I have? Because it seems like there's probably the Facebook groups, and then also because I don't think eBay would be a good place for it, but Facebook groups, I think Instagram is probably going to be now one of the better ones. JT doesn't. It seems like some of those knives would work well for him as far as those sales go, but overall, I mean, it's not. It doesn't seem like it's that great for that. Maybe I'll send him over to Love Them Knives or something to see if he can sell out some of those. But thanks for listening to the folks that have been on. I don't know if anybody's been on from the get-go, but it's like 52 minutes now. 4 people on currently. Nathaniel, do you have any questions or anything else? So we can actually go and, if you have any, let me know. And then we'll probably be shutting down pretty soon for that because I don't really have a lot to show off right now as far as what's on the table. But I did want to do the unboxing so I knew what was on back. I did want to get my G5 back for the Metamorph. And then they do have the version 2 of this that actually has the grooved handles and also has a deep carry pocket clip. So that's going to be version 2 that's out right now. So pick that one up if you guys like this. This is actually, I just really like this knife as far as the front flipper action. Far superior than the rake knife. And I still don't understand how they got rake out of that name, but that's what the company said it is, so that's what it's going to be for that. But let's see if there's anything else. That's about it. Hopefully there's some things going on there. Hopefully I still find the community that wants to listen to what I have to say, and it's actually some benefit as far as some of the testing, some of the hand sizing, some of the random things. And blind knife review number 2's set up. Number 3 is already in the works to get that lined out for that. So hopefully those will work out pretty well, and then we'll kind of go from there. But if nothing else, calling once, I'm going to drink another thing of coffee, which is probably cold now. And then if no other questions, scroll onto the screen, and I'll probably be ending it up or stopping the whole live stream. Another question, I guess, is how important is it to see who we are? Because that's something that I wonder about as far as, because already like 1,100 of you have joined into the channel and subscribed. So hopefully, I mean, that content seems to be pretty good. But doesn't matter like what I look like. Like, do you want me to actually start off a video with like showing me and like the knife, or not, does that matter? Because I know Love Them Knives, he doesn't do anything. It's all the hands just showing the knife and everything else. Some other channels have more of that one-on-one interaction with folks. Let me know in the comments down below as far as what you think about that. And then I guess what do you want to see as far as things that are on the channel? Because we try and do the best we can with what's out there. We try to give the information as well. But if there's anything that really sticks out to you as far as like I really want to see this from the channel, or stop doing ABC because it's annoying as heck. Some things I might not change because I like it, but if there's something that's there that is blaringly just like, don't do that anymore, and I agree with it, then I'll probably change it. But do let me know as far as in comments, as far as those questions, as far as does it matter, as far as like what I look like. Do you want me to actually be on camera for some of the video and then go into the knife? Do you just want to have the video by itself as far as how it is now with a few tweaks here and there, add a little bit more testing later on, because there's more steel testing coming out as well. So check out in the description down below. You're going to Blade Show West this year? Oh, good. Yeah, I mean, it's recommended, because when I went as far as the channel to actually interview people, it's a lot. It was a lot of work. Like I missed that Civivi that's coming out, the stat era. That's what the name that they named it currently. I missed that knife. I could have bought it at Blade Show West and had it all this time, but I did not do that. So you did a live sale that went pretty well. I guess I have to price everything. I think that's the biggest thing about doing that. Instead of a personal website for knife sales. Yeah, I was thinking about that, or like even Etsy. Etsy, I think they take a percentage of it, but you have to be 18 years and older to actually be part of Etsy. So kind of how Birdshot IV, they have their Etsy store, and that's kind of how they move some of the knives there. I was thinking about doing that for it, but I mean, yeah, websites are pretty inexpensive to set up for as well, but good suggestion on that. Yeah, Instagram, great way to do that. What else we got?